We were masters of everything. The galaxy was our finished canvas. Every star burned in its proper place. Every world spun in a gentle, predictable orbit. We had conquered war. We had erased poverty. We had defeated death itself. We were ancient and powerful and wise. And we were bored. Utterly, profoundly bored. Our long existence had become a quiet hum, a single, unchanging note played across eternity. There were no more problems to solve, no great questions left to answer. We understood the mechanics of the universe. We could shape reality with a thought. But to what end? Purpose had evaporated from our lives. The other races in the galaxy looked to us with awe. They called us the progenitors, the shapers, the architects. We had guided many of them from their cradle worlds. We helped them find peace among themselves. They saw us as gods. We saw ourselves as cosmic groundskeepers. We tended a garden that no longer needed us. Our only true enemy was the crushing weight of forever. 1,000,000,000,000 minds with nothing to do. A civilization at the peak of its power, with no challenges left. We had built a perfect cage of peace and comfort, and we, its architects, were trapped inside. The silence of a finished work was deafening. So we started to play. We built toys. Our playgrounds were entire star clusters. Our sandboxes were nebulae. We channeled our infinite energy into creation without purpose. We became the galaxy's greatest artists. Our idleness gave birth to wonders. We had nothing else to do with our time. We sculpted with gravity. We wove tapestries from dark matter. In one corner of the galaxy, we arranged 1,000 blue giant stars. They formed a shimmering mosaic of a forgotten emotion. Critics from the younger races called it breathtaking. We just called it a way to pass a Tuesday. We built a solar system as a perfect clockwork machine. Planets of polished obsidian and diamond. They orbited a white dwarf star in flawless harmony. The system told no time. It measured no useful interval. It was simply a beautiful, useless thing. A monument to our magnificent lack of purpose. And in the heart of our territory, we built the harp. It was a Dyson sphere of impossible scale. Its surface was a lattice of resonant crystals. It was built around a stable, yellow sun. The star's solar winds would pass through the crystals. It would create a gentle, star-born music. A song only we could truly hear. It was our grandest, most pointless masterpiece. Then, something new happened. In all our endless listening to the cosmos, we found a whisper. It was a signal from the deep void between galaxies. It was impossibly faint, impossibly old, a ghost of a voice crying in the dark. We had never detected anything from that far out. The silence between galaxies was supposed to be absolute. We focused our senses. We used arrays the size of solar systems to listen. We untangled the thin thread of sound from the background noise of creation. It was not a greeting. It was not a call for help. It was a warning. A final, desperate testament left behind. A message in a bottle thrown into an endless ocean. The voice was ragged with fear. It spoke of a shadow that consumes light, a hunger that eats stars, a swarm that moves in the absolute cold. They called it the Void Brood. The recording was a loop, the last words of a civilization we would never know. They had been erased so completely. Only this echo remained. It showed us images, flickering ghosts of data, suns winking out, not exploding, just going dark. Worlds turning to gray dust. An entire galaxy consumed like a single meal. The message ended with a plea to anyone listening: run, hide, pray. The recording had been playing on repeat for 1,000,000 years. It was the only thing left of them. We took this finding to the Elder Ones, the ancient council of races that governed the galaxy. They were old, but not as old as us. They were powerful, but not as powerful as us. And they were very, very certain of their own wisdom. They maintained the great peace we had helped build. They had grown comfortable in it. We showed them the echo. We played the recording of the dead race's final moments. We explained the mathematics of the swarm's advance. It was slow, but it was relentless. It would reach our galaxy in a few centuries, a mere blink of an eye for beings like us. We suggested that preparations should be made. The Elder Ones listened with polite patience, the sort of patience one shows a clever child with a wild story. When we finished, they chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound of patronizing amusement. The head of their council, a being of pure energy, shimmered. He called our discovery a fanciful ghost story, a spooky tale from the dark. They told us we had spent too long with our art. They said our imaginations had run away with us, that we saw monsters in the static between stars. They assured us the galaxy was safe. Their fleets were mighty. Their defenses were absolute. They thanked us for our concern and sent us on our way. They laughed as we left their chambers. We felt something we had not felt in eons. It was not anger. It was not offense. It was a spark, a tiny, glowing ember in the cold ashes of our boredom. This was not a problem to be solved with a simple application of power. This was a challenge, a puzzle, a grand project. The laughter of the Elder Ones was a gift. Their disbelief gave us a new kind of freedom. We did not need their permission. We did not need their help. We had a warning they called a ghost story. We had a threat they called a fantasy. And we had a purpose. The most exciting purpose imaginable. Our boredom had found its ultimate cure. We were going to prepare for the end of the world, and we were going to do it our way. The long, quiet age of humanity was over. A new age was about to begin. The age of our great project. For the first time in forever, we had work to do. We looked at our grand artistic creations, the beautiful, useless things we had scattered across the stars. We saw them now with new eyes. They were not just monuments to idleness anymore. They were raw materials. They were untested theories. They were the foundation of our new work. Our art was about to become our arsenal, the great mosaic of 1,000 blue giants. We began to tune them. We learned to manipulate their solar flares. We could create focused waves of energy, a paintbrush of stellar fire. The shimmering tapestry of dark matter, we found its resonant frequency. With a pulse of energy, we could make it harder than any known material. A shield woven from the stuff of empty space. Our cosmic paintings became cloaking fields, vast canvases of light and shadow, now re-engineered to bend light around a ship, to hide a fleet inside a manufactured nebula. We took every beautiful thing we had ever made, and we found its hidden, deadly purpose. Our art galleries became weapons labs. It was the most invigorating work we had ever done. Every sculpture held the potential for a new defense. Every song held the key to a new kind of weapon. We did not abandon our artistry. We refined it. We gave it a terrible new focus. Form would no longer just follow feeling. It would follow function, the function of absolute war. This new project needed new factories. Our old facilities were not enough. We needed forges of an impossible scale. So we looked to the planets themselves. Uninhabited worlds, gas giants, wandering rocks in the deep dark. They were our new clay. We became planet movers. We built engines that could shift orbits. We nudged gas giants from their long paths. We guided them into stable arrangements, our new workshop. We hollowed them out with precise energy fields. We exposed their molten metallic cores. These were our forges, the hearts of burning worlds. Inside these planet-sized foundries, we built our fleet. We did not build ships of metal and wire. We grew them, hulls of crystalline carbon, lattices that could repair themselves. They were designed by the same minds that built star clocks. They were beautiful, and they were unbreakable. The work consumed us entirely. We moved hundreds of worlds. We dimmed stars to harvest their hydrogen. Our corner of the galaxy became a whirlwind of creation, a frantic, focused effort that shook the very fabric of space. We were a species awakened from a long dream, and we were building nightmares. The rest of the galaxy watched us. Their confusion turned to concern, then concern turned to alarm. They saw us moving planets. They saw us harnessing stars. They did not understand what they were seeing. But they knew it was something immense, something beyond their comprehension. Whispers started on the galactic networks. The humans have finally lost their minds. Their long boredom has curdled into madness. They are tearing apart their own systems for some inscrutable purpose. The Elder Ones issued a formal statement. They expressed their deep concern for our erratic behavior. They advised other races to keep their distance. We found it mildly amusing. The Galactic News Network ran a special report. They called it "When Good Artists Go Bad." They interviewed experts who said we were a civilization in collapse, that our grand projects were a sign of our final decay. They had no idea. They saw madness. We saw a deadline. We did not bother to explain. We did not answer their messages. We did not slow our work. Their opinions were irrelevant. They were the background noise to our great composition. Let them think we were mad. It was better that way. It meant no one would get in our way. We had a monster to prepare for. And then it came. The warning was not wrong. The echo was not a ghost story. It arrived at the edge of the galaxy. A wave of anti-energy. A tide of absolute nothingness. The void brood had come. It did not announce itself with warships. It did not send a declaration. It simply began to eat. The first star system it touched was in the domain of the Elder Ones. The star did not explode, it just went out, like a candle flame snuffed by a sudden wind. The planets in its orbit turned to gray dust. The energy, the matter, the light, it was all consumed. A hole had been punched in the fabric of the galaxy. Then another system went dark, and another. The swarm was a flowing river of darkness. It moved with a terrifying, organic grace. It was not an army. It was a plague, a biological entity on a scale that defied imagination, a locust that fed on the substance of reality itself. And it was heading for the galactic core. The laughter of the Elder Ones had stopped. Their arrogance turned to cold, stark terror. They had called it a fantasy. Now the fantasy was eating their empire. They did what all cornered empires do. They sent their fleets, the grand armadas, the pride of their thousand-world league, ships made of shining crystal and bound light. They were beautiful vessels. We had always admired their design. They were works of art in their own right. They met the void brood in the space between two dying stars. The Elder Ones broadcast the battle on all channels. They wanted the galaxy to see their might, to be reassured by their power. The grand armadas opened fire. Lances of pure energy crossed the void. Torrents of antimatter washed over the swarm. It was a display of power that had pacified the galaxy for millennia. And it did nothing. The void brood did not even seem to notice. The darkness simply absorbed the blasts. It drank their fury like water. Then the swarm touched the first of their ships. The crystal hulls, forged to withstand the heart of a star, crumbled. They dissolved into nothing. The ships of light and power shattered. They broke like thin panes of glass. The entire armada, thousands of their most powerful warships, was erased in minutes. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The broadcast ended. It was our turn. The panic was spreading across the galactic networks. The elder ones were silent. Their great power had been proven to be a hollow shell. Desperate pleas for help began to flood the channels. Pleas directed at anyone. Pleas directed at us, the mad artists who had been moving worlds. We did not send our fleets. Not yet. We moved our first piece onto the board. A single, grand creation. We moved it into the path of the advancing swarm. The other races watched, confused. They saw no weapons. They saw no cannons. They saw a Dyson sphere. A great, latticed ball built around a yellow star. It was the harp, our beautiful, useless instrument. The monument we built to play music with solar winds. The elder ones had once called it the height of our folly, a tragic waste of resources on a pointless song. We positioned it carefully. We aimed our instrument, and we prepared to play our first note. The galaxy watched, holding its collective breath. They expected a beam of light, a planet-shattering missile, some weapon of unimaginable power. We gave them something else entirely. The harp began to glow. The crystals on its surface resonated. The star within it pulsed. And then it played a note. It was not a sound that traveled through space. It was a vibration in reality itself. A single, pure frequency. We had found the frequency in the dying message of the long-dead race. It was hidden in the static of their final scream, a resonant key to the void brood's biology. It was the note that could unmake them. The vanguard of the swarm shuddered. The leading edge of the great darkness wavered. The creatures, things the size of moons, began to fray. They did not explode. They did not burn. They simply came apart. They dissolved into shimmering dust and faded into nothingness. The first note of our song had erased an entire fleet of world eaters. The harp held the note. The symphony had begun. The void brood recoiled. It seemed confused. A predator that had never known anything but prey was now facing something it could not comprehend. It tried to reform. It tried to advance. But the music of the harp was everywhere. A clean, perfect wave of dissolution. Then our other instruments joined the concert. The clockwork solar system we had built, our useless toy. We had refined it. We had weaponized its perfect orbits. We accelerated the planets. Their gravitational fields interlocked. They created a vortex in space-time, a whirlpool that grabbed a wing of the swarm. It pulled the darkness in and tore it into its component atoms. Our cloaking fields, the art pieces made of light and shadow. They did more than hide our new ships. They folded space. The distance between our fleet and the swarm became zero. Our vessels appeared inside their formations. We were not fighting them from afar. We were among them. 100 invisible blades cutting the heart out of the monster. We bent the laws of physics as if they were notes on a scale. Our every creation was a different part of the orchestra. The blue giant stars pulsed in unison, a wave of cleansing fire. The dark matter shields moved to protect worlds in the swarm's path. We were not soldiers fighting a war. We were composers conducting a masterpiece of destruction. Reality itself was our instrument. It was over in moments. What should have been a war for the survival of the galaxy was a performance. The void brood, the star-eating hunger, the great existential threat. It was gone, not defeated, not routed, erased, unwritten from the pages of the universe. The symphony ended, and silence fell. A profound, deep silence fell across the entire galaxy. The comm channels were quiet. The panicked screams had stopped. The desperate pleas were gone. There was only the quiet hum of the cosmos. The stars of the Elder One's territory were safe. The tide of darkness was gone. We had won. But no one cheered. There were no messages of thanks, no declarations of victory. The fleets of the younger races had watched from a safe distance. The Elder Ones had seen it all from their shielded worlds. They had witnessed a power they could not begin to understand. They had seen us turn art into an unassailable weapon. They looked at the empty space where the swarm had been. Then they looked at us, the quiet, mad artists in our corner of the galaxy. They had feared the void brood. They saw a monster that devoured suns, a mindless galactic predator. It was a thing to be fought, a thing to be resisted. They understood its hunger. Then they saw us. We had not met the monster with fury. We had met it with a song. We had not overpowered it. We had deconstructed it. We had not fought it. We had corrected it. A cosmic error that we simply erased from the board. The silence from the galaxy was not born of relief. It was born of absolute soul-chilling fear. We had saved them all from the great darkness. We had cured the galaxy of its terminal illness. But in doing so, we had revealed what we were. We were not just harmless old architects. We were not just eccentric artists. We were a power that could use the laws of reality as a playbook. We had finally cured our own boredom. And in that moment, a new truth settled over the galaxy. They were no longer afraid of the monsters in the void between galaxies. They were afraid of us. They were afraid of what we might build next, what new song we might choose to play. We had awakened, and the universe held its breath, waiting to see what we would do with our newfound purpose.